It was a hot, dusty afternoon in a little town called Redstone. This wasn't a big city with tall buildings or busy streets. No, Redstone was small, super small. The kind of place where everyone knows your name, your dog's name, and even what you ate for breakfast. Or at least, that's what they thought. People in Redstone liked to talk, and they liked to watch. But there was one girl they didn't really understand, even though they saw her every day. Her name was Lucy Miller. Lucy wasn't like most folks in town. She walked down Main Street, the busiest road in Redstone, with a white cane in her hand. Tap, tap, tap. That's the sound it made as it hit the sidewalk. Lucy couldn't see anything. Not the bright sun shining down, not the little shops with their colorful signs, not even the people walking by. She was blind. Her eyes didn't work, and she'd been that way since she was a tiny kid. But even though she couldn't see, Lucy heard everything. Oh yes, she was good at listening. She heard the loud rumble of motorcycles zooming past. Vroom, vroom. She heard the people chatting at the diner, talking about the weather or who won the big game last night. And she heard the whispers, the quiet little things people said when they thought she wasn't paying attention. Poor blind girl, they'd say. Life must be so hard for her. Sometimes they'd sound sad for her, like they felt bad. Other times, they'd just shrug and move on, like Lucy didn't matter much. But here's the thing they didn't know: Lucy wasn't just some sad, helpless girl. Nope. She had a secret, a big, huge, amazing secret that nobody in Redstone could have guessed. Lucy wasn't loud. She didn't shout or run around or try to get everyone to look at her. She was quiet. She liked to keep to herself. She wore dark sunglasses that covered her eyes, so no one could see them. Her steps were slow but steady, like she always knew where she was going. Tap, tap, tap went her cane, and she'd walk with her head held high. People in town thought they had her all figured out. Oh, that's just Lucy, they'd say. The blind girl who lives down the road. Nothing special about her. But they were wrong. So wrong. See, Lucy wasn't ordinary. She wasn't just the girl with the cane. She was hiding something that made her way more special than anyone could imagine. And the best part? It was all tied to her dad. Yep, her dad. But no one in Redstone knew who he really was. They didn't talk about him much. They didn't even think about him. To them, Lucy was just a lonely girl with no one to look out for her. But that was the trick. Her dad wasn't just some regular guy. He was someone big, someone important, someone who could change everything. And Lucy? She knew it. She carried that secret with her every single day, like a treasure she kept locked up tight. Imagine walking through town with everyone thinking they know you, but they don't. Imagine hearing them whisper and feeling them stare, but knowing deep down that you've got something they'd never expect. That's what it was like for Lucy. Every tap of her cane was like a little reminder to herself: they don't know. They don't know. And she liked it that way. She didn't need to tell them yet. She didn't need to show off. She was waiting for the perfect moment to let her secret out. Redstone was a sleepy little place most days. The sun would shine, the birds would chirp, and the same old people would do the same old things. Kids rode their bikes down the street, laughing and yelling. Old men sat on benches outside the barber shop, telling stories about the good old days. Women hung laundry on clotheslines in their backyards, waving to neighbors as they passed by. It was the kind of town where nothing big ever happened. Or so everyone thought. But Lucy was about to prove them wrong. She didn't look like someone who could shake things up. She was small, not super tall or strong. Her hair was plain brown, tied back in a simple ponytail. Her clothes were normal too, just jeans and a t-shirt, nothing fancy. And those sunglasses? They were always on her face, hiding her eyes from the world. If you saw her walking by, you might not even notice her at first. She blended in. But that was part of her plan. Lucy didn't want people to notice her, not yet. She wanted them to keep thinking she was just the quiet blind girl. That way, when the truth came out, it would hit them like a big surprise. The people in Redstone had no idea what was coming. They went about their days, sipping coffee at the diner, fixing cars at the garage, or sweeping the steps of the little town hall. They'd see Lucy and give her a nod or a small smile, thinking they knew her story. Poor Lucy, they'd say to each other. All alone, no family to help her. But they didn't know the half of it. Lucy wasn't alone. She had her dad, and he wasn't just any dad. He was someone who could make the whole town sit up and pay attention. That dusty afternoon, as Lucy walked down Main Street, she could feel the air getting ready to change. She couldn't see the clouds moving in or the way the light shifted, but she could hear the little signs that something big was on the way. The motorcycles were louder than usual that day. The voices at the diner sounded a bit more excited. Even the wind seemed to whisper something different. Lucy smiled to herself, just a tiny bit. She knew her secret was safe for now, but not for long. Soon, everyone in Redstone would find out who she really was. And when they did, oh boy, this little town would never be the same. So there she was, Lucy Miller, tapping her cane down the sidewalk, looking like nothing special to the people around her. But inside, she was ready. Ready to show them all. Ready to let her secret loose. And the best part? No one saw it coming. Not the old men on the benches, not the kids on their bikes, not even the nosy ladies at the diner. They thought they knew Lucy, but they didn't. And that little secret about her dad? It was about to turn Redstone upside down. The trouble started one sunny day in Redstone when a bunch of noisy bikers zoomed into town. Their engines roared like angry lions. Vroom, vroom, vroom. They weren't just any bikers. They called themselves the Black Vipers. That's a cool name, right? But these guys weren't cool. They were tough and mean, and they liked everyone to know it. They wore big black leather jackets that creaked when they moved. Their bikes were shiny and loud, so loud you could hear them from miles away. And their attitudes? Oh boy, they were even louder than their bikes. The leader of the Black Vipers was a guy named Spike. He was the toughest and meanest of them all. Spike had spiky hair, kind of funny since his name was Spike, and a grin that wasn't nice. It was a mean grin, the kind that says, "I'm better than you." He loved picking on people. If he thought someone was weak or small or couldn't fight back, he'd tease them just for fun. Spike and his buddies thought they owned the town as soon as they rolled in. They'd ride their bikes up and down Main Street, laughing and shouting, making everyone look at them. One day, Spike's eyes landed on Lucy Miller. You remember Lucy, right? The quiet girl with the white cane who couldn't see? She was walking down the sidewalk like she always did. Tap, tap, tap went her cane, nice and slow. She had her dark sunglasses on, and her face was calm, like nothing ever bothered her. But Spike didn't care about that. He saw her cane, and he saw how she moved so carefully. To him, that made her an easy target. He didn't know Lucy at all, but he thought he did. He thought she was weak. Big mistake. Hey, blind girl! Spike yelled. His voice was loud and rough, cutting through the air. He revved his bike engine, vroom, and it growled like a big monster. His buddies, all sitting on their bikes behind him, started laughing. Need help crossing the street, or you gonna trip over your own feet? Spike said, grinning that mean grin of his. The other bikers laughed even harder, slapping their knees like it was the funniest thing ever. They thought Lucy would get scared or cry or run away. But guess what? She didn't. Lucy kept walking. Tap, tap, tap. Her cane didn't stop, and her face didn't change. She didn't look mad or sad or anything. She was super calm, like the shouting didn't even touch her. But inside, Lucy wasn't just standing there doing nothing. Oh no. She was listening. She heard every single word Spike said. She heard the way his voice sounded sharp and nasty. She heard the laughs from his buddies, loud and rude. She even heard the little squeak of Spike's leather jacket when he moved. Lucy couldn't see, but her ears were like superpowers. She took it all in, saving it up in her head. Spike wasn't done, though. He wanted to make Lucy feel small. He leaned closer on his bike, his engine rumbling, and grabbed an empty soda can from the ground. It was shiny and silver, crumpled up from being thrown away. With a quick flick of his hand, he tossed it right at Lucy. Clank. It hit the sidewalk near her feet and rolled around, making a loud noise. Oops, Spike said, his voice dripping with fake surprise. Guess you didn't see that coming. His buddies roared with laughter again, pointing at Lucy like she was part of some big joke. The people in Redstone saw it all happen. There were folks standing outside the diner, sipping their coffee. There were kids playing near the street, watching with wide eyes. Even the old men on the benches turned their heads to look. They saw Spike throw that can. They heard him tease Lucy. But did they say anything? Nope. Not a word. They just stood there, quiet as mice. Some of them shook their heads, like they felt bad for Lucy. Others just shrugged and went back to what they were doing. They figured Lucy couldn't do anything about it. She was blind, right? She was small and quiet. What could she do against big, tough Spike and his noisy gang? That's what everyone thought. Poor Lucy, they'd whisper to each other. She's just the blind girl. She can't fight back. They were sure Spike would keep teasing her, and she'd just have to take it. But here's the thing, they didn't know Lucy. Not really. They saw her cane and her sunglasses, and they thought that was the whole story. But there was more, so much more. Lucy wasn't scared of Spike. She didn't jump or run or cry when he yelled. She didn't even frown when that soda can clattered by her feet. She just kept walking, calm as ever. Why? Because Lucy wasn't weak. She was patient. And patience, well, that can be a super strong thing to have. Spike didn't know it, but Lucy wasn't the kind of girl who'd let stuff like this slide forever. She wasn't shaking in her shoes or wishing she could hide. No way. Inside her head, she was thinking. She was planning. Every mean word Spike said, every laugh from his buddies, every clank of that can, it was all going into her memory. She was like a sponge, soaking it all up. She didn't need to see Spike's mean grin to know what kind of guy he was. She could hear it in his voice, feel it in the air. And she wasn't going to forget it. The townsfolk didn't get it. They watched Spike tease her and thought, oh well, that's just how it is. They didn't think Lucy could do anything big. To them, she was just the quiet blind girl who walked around with her cane. But Lucy had a secret, remember that? A big, huge secret about her dad. And Spike? He had no clue. He thought he was the king of Redstone, riding around on his loud bike, picking on whoever he wanted. He thought Lucy was an easy target, someone he could laugh at and then forget about. But he was wrong. So wrong. Patience is a funny thing. It's quiet. It doesn't yell or fight right away. It waits. And Lucy was good at waiting. She didn't need to shout back at Spike or throw something at him. She didn't need to prove anything right then and there. She just kept walking, tap, 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 letting him think he'd won. But deep down, Lucy knew something Spike didn't. She knew this wasn't the end of the story. It was just the beginning. And when the time was right, Spike and his black vipers were going to find out that teasing Lucy was the dumbest thing they'd ever done. So there it was, the trouble starting, the tension building. Spike thought he was tough. The town thought Lucy was helpless. But something big was coming, something they couldn't even imagine. What do you think Lucy's going to do next? Can you feel the excitement bubbling up? Hold on tight, because this story's about to get wild. Days went by in Redstone, and the Black Vipers didn't stop being mean. They were like a pack of noisy wolves, always looking for trouble. Every time Lucy walked down Main Street with her white cane, tap, 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 they'd show up. Their bikes would roar super loud, like thunder on wheels. Vroom, vroom. They'd rev the engines just as Lucy passed by, trying to make her jump or stumble. But Lucy? She didn't jump. She didn't stumble. She just kept walking, slow and steady. The bikers didn't stop there. They'd shout dumb jokes at her, stuff that wasn't even funny. Hey, blind girl, don't trip over the air, one of them would yell. Or, did you see the sun today? Oh wait, you can't. They'd laugh and laugh, thinking they were so smart. Sometimes, they'd toss little things her way, empty soda cans, candy wrappers, whatever junk they had in their pockets. The stuff would clatter on the ground near her feet, clank, rustle, thud. They wanted her to get mad or scared. They wanted her to run away. But Lucy didn't do any of that. Instead, Lucy stayed cool. Super cool. She didn't yell back at them. She didn't wave her cane or stomp her feet. She didn't even frown. Her face was calm, like a still pond with no ripples. But inside her head? Oh, something big was happening. Lucy wasn't just ignoring them. She was listening, really, really listening. She couldn't see the black vipers, but she didn't need to. Her ears were her superpower. She heard everything. She memorized the sound of Spike's voice. It was rough and loud, like a barking dog. She could pick it out from all the other voices, even when the bikers were shouting together. She listened to the growl of his bike, too. It wasn't like the others, it had a deep, rumbling sound, kind of like a bear waking up. She even noticed the way his boots scraped the pavement when he walked, scritch, scratch. Every little noise was a clue, and Lucy was collecting them all. She was building a picture in her mind, piece by piece, like putting together a puzzle without looking at it. The townsfolk saw all this happening. They'd peek out their windows or stand by the diner, watching the black vipers tease Lucy. They'd shake their heads and whisper, "Poor Lucy. Those bikers are so mean." But they didn't do anything to help. They thought Lucy was helpless. "She's just the blind girl," they'd say. "What can she do?" They didn't know Lucy was way smarter than that. She wasn't just sitting there taking it. She was waiting, listening, planning. Then one day, Spike went too far. It was a warm afternoon, and Lucy was walking her usual route down Main Street. Tap, tap, tap went her cane. The black vipers were hanging out nearby, their bikes lined up like shiny toys. Spike saw her coming, and that mean grin spread across his face. He had an idea, a really bad idea. He jumped on his bike, revved it loud vroom, and zoomed right in front of Lucy. Then he stopped, parking his big, noisy bike smack in her path. Lucy's cane tapped the wheel tap and she had to stop. She couldn't go forward. Spike had blocked her way. "What's wrong, blind girl?" "Lost," Spike said, his voice full of teasing. He leaned back on his bike and laughed, loud and nasty. His buddies joined in, chuckling and pointing. "Ah, look at her. She doesn't know where to go," they said. They thought it was hilarious. To them, Lucy was stuck, and they'd won their little game. But Lucy didn't look stuck. She didn't look scared. She just stood there, her cane resting against Spike's bike. Then something happened. Lucy tilted her head a little, like she was studying Spike even though she couldn't see him. The wind blew softly, rustling her hair, and she spoke. Her voice was quiet, so quiet it almost got lost in the breeze. "You're gonna wish you didn't do that," she said. "That's all." Just those words, soft and simple. Spike blinked. For a second, he didn't know what to say. Then he laughed even harder. "Oh yeah," he shouted, slapping his knee. "What are you gonna do about it, blind girl? Cry?" His buddies laughed too, hooting and hollering like it was the best joke ever. They thought Lucy was being silly. "She's got nothing," one of them said. "What's she gonna do, wave her cane at us?" They kept laughing, their voices bouncing off the buildings. But Lucy didn't laugh. She didn't yell back. She didn't even move. She just stood there, and then here's the spooky part, she smiled. It wasn't a big smile. It was tiny, super tiny, like a secret only she knew. Her lips curved up just a little, and it was mysterious. Spike's buddies stopped laughing for a second. They nudged each other with their elbows. "What's with that smile?" one of them whispered. "What's she up to?" another asked. They didn't get it. Spike didn't get it either. He snorted and revved his bike again, vroom, like he didn't care. "You're weird, blind girl," he said, and he rolled his bike out of her way, still chuckling. Lucy started walking again, tap, 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 like nothing had happened. But something had happened. That little smile. Those quiet words. They were clues. Small revelations. Something was coming. The black vipers didn't know it yet, but their fun was running out. They thought they could keep teasing Lucy forever. They thought she was weak, easy to pick on. But Lucy wasn't weak. She was strong in a quiet way. Every time they laughed, every time they threw something, every time they blocked her path, she got a little closer to showing them. She didn't need to fight them with her hands. She didn't need to shout or scream. She had something better, her secret. And that secret was like a bomb, ticking away, waiting to go off. The townsfolk didn't see it either. They watched Spike block Lucy's path and thought, "Oh no, poor Lucy again." They didn't hear her quiet words. They didn't see her tiny smile. They just saw the blind girl with the cane, stuck for a moment. But Lucy wasn't stuck. She was moving forward, step by step, tap by tap. She was getting ready. The Black Vipers thought they were in charge, but the clock was ticking tick, tock, tick, tock. Their mean games were about to end, and Lucy knew it. What do you think that smile meant? Can you feel the excitement building? Lucy's not just sitting there, she's up to something big. Stick around, because this story's getting wilder every second. It all happened on a hot Saturday night, right at the edge of Redstone. The air was sticky and warm, like a blanket you can't shake off. The Black Vipers, those mean bikers with their loud bikes, were hanging out in their favorite spot. It was a dusty lot near some old trees, far from the main part of town. Spike and his crew were sitting around, laughing and drinking beers. Their bikes were parked in a messy line, shining a little under the dim streetlights. They were having a great time, telling jokes and slapping each other on the back. They thought they were the coolest guys around. But that was about to change. Suddenly, a sound broke through the night. It wasn't just a little noise, it was big. Deep and rumbling, like a storm rolling in. Vroom, vroom, vroom. The ground started to shake, just a little at first, then more and more. Spike stopped laughing. His beer stayed in his hand, halfway to his mouth. His buddies looked up, their grins fading fast. That sound wasn't just one bike. It was dozens, tons of them. The noise got louder and louder, filling the air until it was all anyone could hear. Then they saw it. A huge group of bikers rolled into the lot, their bikes gleaming bright under the streetlights. There were so many of them, way more than the Black Vipers. Their engines roared together, like a pack of lions saying, "We're here." Dust flew up around them, making little clouds in the air. At the front of this big crew was a man who looked tough, really tough. He had a gray beard that hung down his chin, all scruffy and wild. His eyes were sharp, like they could cut through anything. He wore a black leather jacket, just like the others, but his had a special patch on it. The patch said President, Redstone Riders in big, bold letters. Spike's mean grin was gone now. His face went pale, like he'd seen a ghost. The Black Vipers all froze, staring at this new group. The Redstone Riders weren't just any biker club. Oh no. They were the biker club, the biggest, strongest, toughest one around. Everyone knew them. They owned every road in this part of the state. If you saw their bikes coming, you got out of the way fast. And their leader? The guy with the gray beard? He didn't look happy. Not one bit. The man climbed off his bike real slow, like he had all the time in the world. His boots hit the ground with a loud thud. He stood tall, bigger than Spike, bigger than anyone there. The other Redstone Riders stayed on their bikes, watching, waiting. The air felt heavy, like something huge was about to happen. The man took a few steps forward, his eyes locked on Spike. Then he spoke. His voice was low and growly, like a bear waking up. "You've been messing with my daughter," he said. Spike blinked. His mouth opened a little, but no words came out. "Your daughter," he mumbled, confused. His buddies looked at each other, their eyes wide. What was this guy talking about? Daughter? Who? They didn't get it, not yet. But then, something amazing happened. Lucy stepped out from behind the Redstone Riders. Yep, Lucy. The quiet blind girl they'd been teasing all this time. She didn't have her cane with her, not tonight. She just stood there, calm and cool, wearing her dark sunglasses. That tiny, mysterious smile was on her face again, the one she'd shown Spike before. She walked forward a little, standing next to the big man with the gray beard. Then she spoke, loud enough for everyone to hear. "Hey, Dad," she said. "These guys have been real rude to me." The whole place went quiet. Dead quiet. You could have heard a pin drop. Spike's jaw dropped so low it almost hit the ground. His beer slipped out of his hand and fell plop into the dirt. His buddies stopped moving, stopped talking, stopped everything. They just stared at Lucy, then at the big man, then back at Lucy. The pieces clicked in their heads, like a puzzle snapping together. The blind girl they'd been picking on, the one they threw cans at, the one they blocked with their bikes, was his daughter? This tough guy's daughter? The man with the gray beard was Big Tom Miller. Everyone in Redstone knew that name, even if they didn't talk about him much. He was the boss of the Redstone Riders, the toughest biker boss around. Nobody messed with Big Tom. Nobody. And Lucy? She was his little girl. Spike and the Black Vipers had been teasing her, laughing at her, thinking she was weak. But they didn't know who she really was. They didn't know she had a dad like Big Tom watching out for her. Spike's face turned red, then white, then red again. He looked like he wanted to disappear. His buddies started whispering to each other, nervous and scared. "She's his daughter," one of them hissed. "We're in big trouble," another said. They were right. Big Tom's eyes narrowed as he stared at Spike. That stare could stop a train, and right now, it was aimed right at the Black Viper's leader. Spike tried to laugh, but it came out all shaky. We didn't know, man," he said, his voice small. "We were just kidding around." But Big Tom didn't laugh. He didn't smile. He just kept staring, and that made Spike squirm even more. Lucy stood there, still smiling that tiny smile. She didn't need her cane tonight because she wasn't alone. She had her dad and a whole crew of tough bikers behind her. The Black Vipers thought they were the big shots in town, but now they looked small. Really small. The crowd of Redstone Riders growled their engines vroom, like they were ready to move. The Black Vipers flinched, stepping back a little. They weren't laughing anymore. They weren't grinning or shouting dumb jokes. They were scared. And they should be. Because picking on Lucy wasn't just a little mistake, it was the biggest mistake of Spike's life. He'd walked right into a trap he didn't see coming, all because he didn't know who Lucy really was. Big Tom wasn't the kind of guy to wait around. He was mad, really mad. His little girl, Lucy, had been picked on by Spike and the Black Vipers, and he wasn't going to let that slide. He looked at his crew, the Redstone Riders, and gave them a quick nod. That was all they needed. Before Spike could even blink, the riders moved fast. Their big, shiny bikes rolled forward, making a loud vroom, vroom. In just a few seconds, they had the Black Vipers surrounded. There was no way out for Spike and his buddies now. Big Tom stepped closer to Spike. His boots crunched on the dirt, and his voice came out low and scary, like a growl from a big dog. "You think you can harass my little girl and get away with it?" he said. Spike's eyes got wide. He opened his mouth, but his words tripped over each other. I didn't know, man. I swear," he stammered. He waved his hands, trying to explain, but it sounded weak. Big Tom didn't care. It was too late for excuses. Spike had messed up big time, and he was about to find out what that meant. Lucy stepped forward then. She didn't have her cane tonight, just her dark sunglasses and that calm look on her face. She didn't need to shout or sound angry. Her voice was steady, like she knew exactly what she wanted to say. "I don't need to see to know a bully when I hear one," she said, looking right at Spike even though she couldn't see him. "Maybe next time, you'll think twice." Her words were simple, but they hit hard. Spike's face turned red. He didn't know what to say back. Lucy wasn't scared of him, not one bit. Big Tom gave another signal, just a little wave of his hand. That's when the Redstone Riders kicked into action. They revved their engines all at once, vroom, vroom. The sound was so loud it shook the ground. Spike and his crew jumped, looking around like trapped animals. They didn't have a chance. The riders started moving their bikes closer, making the circle around the Black Vipers smaller and smaller. Spike's buddies dropped their beers and scrambled to their own bikes. "Let's get out of here," one of them yelled. In no time, the Black Vipers were running. They hopped on their bikes, engines roaring, and sped off down the road. They didn't look tough anymore. They looked scared, like little kids running from a big dog. Their bikes kicked up dust as they zoomed away, tails between their legs. The Redstone Riders didn't chase them, they didn't need to. The message was clear: get out and stay out. Spike and his crew were gone, and they weren't coming back anytime soon. Word spread fast in Redstone. By morning, everyone knew what happened. People at the diner talked about it over coffee. Kids whispered about it while riding their bikes. Even the old men on the benches nodded and said, "Yep, that's what you get." The story was everywhere: mess with Lucy, and you mess with the Redstone Riders. No one wanted to test that, not after seeing Spike run off like a scared puppy. After that night, things changed for Lucy. No one in Redstone dared to look at her funny anymore. Before, some folks might have whispered poor blind girl or ignored her. Now, they smiled when she walked by. They said hi and waved, even though she couldn't see them. The quiet blind girl wasn't so helpless after all. She'd just been waiting for the right moment to show everyone who she really was. And when she did, wow, it was awesome. Lucy didn't need to fight with her fists or yell loud. She had something better: her dad and her smarts. She'd listened, she'd waited, and then she'd let the truth come out. Spike thought he could pick on her forever, but he was wrong. Lucy showed him and the whole town that bullies don't win. Not when you've got a secret like hers. And from then on, Redstone knew, Lucy Miller was tough, even if she didn't look it. So, what's the big lesson from Lucy's story? It's pretty cool when you think about it. Sometimes, the person you think is weak, like they can't do much, turns out to be the one with all the power. Lucy didn't look strong to the Black Vipers or the folks in Redstone. She was quiet. She couldn't see. She walked with a cane, tap, tap, tap. But guess what? She had something huge inside her, a secret and a brave heart. She didn't need to shout loud or fight with her hands to win. She just needed to be smart and wait for the right time. And when that time came, boom! She showed everyone what she was really made of. Think about those bikers, Spike and his crew. They were loud and mean, riding their big bikes, thinking they could pick on anyone. They saw Lucy and thought, oh, she's easy to tease. They judged her by what they saw, a blind girl with sunglasses. But they didn't see the whole story. They didn't know about her dad, Big Tom, or how tough she really was. They learned the hard way that you can't just look at someone and think you know everything about them. If you do, you might miss something big, like a biker boss dad ready to roll in and set things right. Lucy's story makes you wonder, doesn't it? It's like a little push to think twice before you decide what someone's like. Maybe the quiet kid in class, the one who doesn't talk much, has a super cool talent you don't know about. Maybe the person who seems small or shy is actually super strong inside, just waiting for their moment. Lucy didn't need to prove anything to anyone right away. She stayed calm, listened, and then wham, she showed the world she wasn't weak at all. That's pretty awesome, right? What do you think? Could you have guessed Lucy's secret? I bet it was a big surprise when Big Tom showed up with all those bikes. Did it make your heart beat fast when Spike's grin went away? Tell me about it in the comments. I'd love to hear what you think. And hey, if this story got you excited or made you cheer for Lucy, give it a thumbs up. It's fun to share stories like this, and I've got more where that came from. Stick around, because you never know who's hiding a big twist in real life. This story's all about being brave and smart, even when people don't expect it. Lucy didn't let the bullies win. She didn't give up. She waited, and then she showed them all. Maybe you've got a little bit of Lucy in you, too. Maybe there's something special about you that no one's seen yet. Keep being you, and don't be afraid to surprise the world someday. Because just like Lucy, the quiet ones can be the strongest, and that's a pretty cool thing to remember.